Good morning, guys. Manly Men Cook with Cast Iron, Coffee with Bash. Episode number 2. Trying this out. This is still going to be a trial run of the Coffee with Bash. So, if the handful of y'all that are actually watching this like it, please, hit that like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Helps me out. So, Coffee with Bash. It's a rainy day this morning. Rainy morning this morning? Probably better. I don't know. Yeah, it's rainy and probably stuck in the house for the most part. I've been doing a lot of fishing recently, getting out and doing that. And I was really fortunate. I broke my fly rod recently, and I asked on my Facebook page if anybody knew where I could get one repaired because it was my first fly rod and I wanted to do that. And I don't think I do. I did look up and I've got a warranty on that thing, so I could probably get that section replaced. So that's nice. But the really cool thing is I had a friend of mine, a friend of the family's, really send me a message, and he said, "Hey Bash, I saw that you broke your fly rod, and I have this old fly rod that was your grandfather's, and I feel like you should have it. I never get to use it anyway." And so we managed to, despite all the COVID stuff, link up and and swap the fly rod in a safe manner. And he managed to give me that fly rod in a safe manner. So now I have my grandfather's fly rod, and that's really freaking awesome. Because my grandfather and I were closer with each other than probably anybody else in the family. I just he understood me on a level that none of my family really did. And it was he died a few years ago, and it was it really sucked because I was away, and I was actually in Florida, the last place I ever wanted to be anyway, and studying for my motorcycle mechanics degree. And as he was sick, he told me he wanted me to stay down there to finish my degree and not get off track and everything. And so I did what he asked, but it still really sucked to not be able to get to go and see him before he died. And I've as is typical when somebody dies, certain family members came in and took advantage of the situation and just loaded up all his stuff. And so I don't have a whole lot of things of my grandfather's to remember him by other than memories. But over time, a handful of things have come my way, and I think that that's important. That this is one of those things that came my way, and I'm very fortunate for this. This fly rod was probably made back in the late 40s, early 50s, and it still looks almost brand new. And that was how my grandfather was. He gave this fly rod to a friend because he liked him. My grandfather would take care of something that he'd had since childhood, and he would just when you looked at it, it would look like it has to be something that he highly treasured. But if he liked somebody and he felt like they could use it, he'd just give it to you. That's how I got my first muzzle loader. He'd had this thing for a long time. It's an old 54 cal muzzle loader, and I told him I wanted to start getting into hunting with a muzzle loader, and he just gave me this thing. So that's one of the few things that, again, I have I have some of my grandfather's outdoor stuff, which I think is important because now I've got to find a reel for this rod, which I can probably take the one off of my other fly rod. But it's still one of those things. I'd like to find one that would match it more properly. But it's gonna feel in a way like I'm out fishing with my grandfather again. Every time I catch a fish with that thing, I'll I'll feel like he's there with me. So breaking my fly rod was a really fortunate thing, I guess. You know, it sucked because I didn't get to go fishing that day. Well, no, I went fishing, but I didn't get to go fly fishing that day. I'm still gonna go fishing no matter what if I can. And I might sneak out today despite the rain and see if I can get something to bite. But yeah, I think that was really neat. I'm a very fortunate person to have been gifted something like that from somebody I haven't really spoken to in years just because our paths have not really crossed. So, yeah, I guess this morning I'm feeling blessed. I think I'm going to call that good. Coffee with Bash. How I got my grampy's fly rod. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll catch you next time.